Thank you, Maria, for the kind introduction. I want to also thank AutoZone for their incredible sponsorship of today's event. It means so much to be able to join y'all this afternoon to take a break from the campaign trail to talk about the future of the Hispanic community. Maria, I thank you for your leadership y es un gusto haber un ciudadano de Miami otra vez. Pero bienvenidos a todos, gracias por venir, es un placer y un honor para mí a visitar con todos ustedes esta tarde. It's an honor and pleasure for me to join you this afternoon, to visit with you with this great organization. You know, the funny thing about speaking at an inaugural event is that it can only get better. So I'm trying to set those expectations low this year, and that way y'all have many more to come. But it's great to join you. I want to thank all of our corporate sponsors that helped to get this event off the ground and supporting a great organization that's doing amazing things. As was mentioned this morning, I had a chance to visit with some of the students that are part of Abriendo Puertas, which is a great organization. I know several of the students are sitting at your tables. I would just hand a business card to them, shake their hand, get to know their personal story. As somebody that has traveled this great country and have heard many stories involved with Bush Family Public Service, the incredible struggles that these children face to achieve their American dream is nothing short of inspirational. So I'm excited to see the many more doors that will be opened through Abriendo Puertas. This afternoon I was asked to talk about some of the issues that face our community and looking forward, and I thought that I would share a personal story. When I was actually a student at the same time that a lot of these Abriendo Puertas scholars were coming through the school system. And I remember visiting with a prominent Hispanic civil rights leader, Raúl Isidire, in New York. And at the time, you know, several of the issues that are playing out today in our nation's capital were being litigated. And he had a chance to pull me aside, and we obviously didn't agree on a lot of the issues, but one thing we do agree on is that, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, as Hispanics, we need more CEOs, and we need more entrepreneurs, and we need to create more wealth for our community, and to continue doing good by doing well for others. And so I thought I'd focus my remarks today on my personal experience as an entrepreneur and encouraging many of our members at Latino Memphis to continue collaborating with great corporations that are located here in Memphis and to encourage entrepreneurship and small business ownership. In terms of my own personal journey as an entrepreneur in the oil and gas space, I can share with you that I've had a chance to meet other entrepreneurs, and really you can break these individuals down into three different areas. One is people start their businesses sometimes out of necessity. In a tough economy, sometimes the only way to provide for yourself and for your family is by creating your own business. Others that I've met, unfortunately, in the legal profession, do it because they feel like their skills are not being fully utilized. You see a lot of folks that don't get asked to go to that higher level, and so they form their own business and adding value in their own way. And then there's those that show their passion. They follow their heart, and they create a business out of their own instincts. Whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or Warren Buffett or the founders of many of our corporate sponsors, you'll see that they followed a passion to get their business started. I thought that today, with the unveiling of the Apple iPhone 6, that I would use my favorite case study of entrepreneurship, and that's Steve Jobs. And I know here in Memphis we have so many different case studies that we can use, but Steve Jobs truly is the quintessential entrepreneur of my generation. To think that he started a business with $1,000 out of his family's garage, grew the business to a $4 million valuation, and then at the age of 30, was fired from the same company that he had started. But what's exciting about his transition is that he would say that the reason why he started a new business is it allowed him to be more creative and to begin one of the most amazing processes of a company that would grow to what it has today. And so what he has parted with in terms of the students that he has visited with over time is nothing short of amazing. In some of his commencement speeches, he has said that he didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was was the best thing that could have ever happened to him. And as it turned out, he started 2 companies, one of which would be later taken over by Apple, and the other would become one of the most successful animation studios ever. And for those of you who had the opportunity to check out his commencement speech, I would highly recommend his 2005 Stanford University talk, where he says, "I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple the first time around. It was awful tasting medicine, but the patient truly needed it. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, because your work is going to fill a huge part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know it when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just keeps getting better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it, don't settle." I also wanted to share with you 2 experiences that framed my viewpoints on business and politics that shape me to this day. And these were lessons, again, that I learned at the same time that many of our students here today. First is to take risk. Don't be afraid to fail. In fact, if you ask these individuals on a personal level, the CEOs of great companies and successful entrepreneurs, what were your expectations in starting the business? Many of which said that they would never reach that point unless they had failed. And so I have a smaller example to share with you. When I played baseball in college, I played for a consensus preseason #1 baseball team, and I was recruited in Florida. But Jose Cruz and Lance Berkman and 5 other major leaguers were on our team. I walked on the team, and yes, we made the College World Series and had great experiences, but I didn't get drafted in the major leagues, and I didn't become the next Hank Aaron. But what I did learn was an incredible experience of learning to fail, but to fail well. And at Rice, that's what I was able to do. Number 2, I learned also to give back to others. I was asked actually by the Abriendo students earlier today, what can you do to network, and what can you do to get involved in your community? And at Rice, I had the opportunity to join Catholic Charities on Saturday mornings to go to the inner city of Houston and work with children. And I remember working with a young man, Ezekiel Gonzalez, who was the son of a migrant farm worker. And his challenges were unique. He was getting into discipline issues in class, and he wasn't fluent in English or Spanish. And so every Saturday over the course of 4 years, he would later graduate from junior high, and I still keep in touch with him via email, and he graduated from high school. And I learned at an early age what my grandmother, Barbara Bush, always taught every other member of the Bush family, and that is to always give back and recognize the impact that one person can have on the life of another. And so I share these lessons with you because they're very personal lessons to me, and the reasons why I want to serve my state of Texas. Though I think we have a good competition in terms of who cooks the better barbecue. We'll resolve that a little bit later this afternoon. But as we enter Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm particularly excited about this opportunity to visit with you this afternoon about the future of the community. You know, as of the last Census Bureau, you'll see that Hispanics nationwide represent roughly 15% of the country's population. But yet, since the last census, over 50% of the country's population has come from this community. Think about that for a second. 15% of America is generating over 50% of the population growth. In Texas, we're already a majority minority state, and in less than 10 years, we will be a majority Hispanic state. If you look at all of our major independent school districts, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, you'll see that our student population is majority Hispanic as well. And as was shared earlier here in Memphis, the Hispanic population has more than doubled over the last 10 years. But with these demographic changes, our community faces tremendous challenges, and I wanted to talk about 2 in particular, but also talk about some of the great things that we're seeing on a daily basis. First is our high school dropout issue. Again, I come from a public high school background. After I graduated from college, I had the unique opportunity to work in a program called Teach for America that you may have heard of. And I worked in the dropout prevention program with 150 students, 30 of which dropped out already halfway through the year. I lost several young women to teenage pregnancy. I had a young man arrested in my class for possession of narcotics, and I was even challenged to a fight by several of my students. And I have many sad stories to share with you, but we've got a long way to go to reform our public schools to create the opportunities for our children and our grandchildren if we are going to be a competitive community and if we're going to be a competitive state or country. And so if you look at the statistics, they're sobering. For those of you who know the Pew Hispanic Research Center, they do great studies in terms of the challenges that we face as a community. You'll see that in some independent school districts, you'll witness a dropout rate that exceeds 50%. And nationwide, the Hispanic dropout rate exceeds 25%. In some areas of my home state of Texas, we've actually seen a few school districts over 50% dropout rate. But what's challenging for us is that, and as we talked about earlier today, is that the overwhelming majority of students and parents want to get a four-year degree or want to get a certification or some sort of post-secondary degree, but don't plan to do so. Finances being a big part of it. But the challenges of going to the right school and matching with the right perspective is important. So whether you're Republican or Democrat, I think we can all agree that we need to transform our public education system so it meets the needs of this century. As Condoleezza Rice has said, this is truly the civil rights issue of the century, not only for Latinos, but for all Americans. In my opinion, we still have a school year based on time in the classroom rather than whether or not little Johnny or Susie is absorbing material. I believe that our curriculum, and I'm a world history teacher, so I know as it relates to our political involvement, and that has to change right here and right now. So to explain this thought, since we're in football season, I happen to be a UT fan. I don't want to offend sensibilities, but yeah, we got a lot more of that. That it's great to watch football. It's great to be a spectator, but it's time to get off the field. It's time to get in the game and start participating. So despite these enormous challenges, there's great successes and achievements that are taking place every day. As a veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom who continues to wear the uniform, who has served in Afghanistan in 2010, returning from my deployment as part of the summer surge, I can share with you that I'm proud to serve with many of my fellow Hispanics of the officer and enlisted level. Currently, over 25% of our active duty in the U.S. military is of Hispanic origin, which is well above the percentage of the overall population. Over 1 million Hispanic veterans have served in foreign wars dating back to World War II, and dozens have achieved the highest level of honor, and that's the Congressional Medal of Honor. I want to recognize not only Hispanic veterans, but any military veteran this afternoon by please standing up and being recognized for your service to our great country. And then as it relates to entrepreneurship, we are coming a long way. I'm proud to share with you that over 2.5 million businesses have been created and are owned currently by Hispanics throughout the country. And according to the Kaufman School of Entrepreneurship, you will see that the rate of entrepreneurship and small business ownership in the Hispanic community has more than doubled since the financial crisis of 2008. This is important because small businesses create 60% of the gross job creation that you'll find in our country, and an even higher percentage during a financial recovery. So it's small business owners that lead the opportunities for tomorrow for future generations of Tennesseans and Texans and Americans. So I believe that Latino Memphis is well positioned to continue to lead on these issues. I appreciate you allowing me to visit with you this afternoon on these important issues. We have a lot of work ahead. but I'm excited to be with you this afternoon. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the great city of Memphis.